So in this video, we are going to learn how to do circles. So we're in section 2.2, circles, as you can see. Feel free to follow along in the handout that I have. However, it's not necessary necessarily. All right, so we see that the standard equation, if we have a center at HK and a radius of R, our equation is going to be x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So again, hopefully this is all just a big review for everybody, but in case it's not, it's x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So notice if r is equal to 1, what kind of graph do we have? If we have a radius of 1, so we have talked about this. We talked about this in our trig classes. Our lessons about trigonometry. So if r is equal to 1, what kind of graph is this? So remember, this is an equation of a circle, so we're going to call that the unit circle. Hopefully we all remember that. All right, this is it. So let's just do a ton of examples. So example number 1. Find an equation of a circle that has a center at -2, 3 and contains the point 4, 5, and then sketch the graph. So we're going to use our equation of a circle. So this time we have the center is going to be at -2, 3. So we see that -2 is going to be our h and 3 is going to be our k. So we can just substitute that in. X plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals r squared. So now what we need to find is r. But obviously we're not given a radius, so what else can we do? Well, we are given a point, so we could just plug this in, right? So 4 is going to be our x, 5 is going to be our y. So we plug in 4 plus 2 squared plus 5 minus 3 squared equals r squared. And then we just solve for r. So 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 squared is 36. 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So we see that r squared is going to equal 40, which means that r equals the square root of 40. We can simplify that down, right? So that's 8 and 5, 4 and 2. So we know the square root of 4 is 2, so that's just the same as 2 times the square root of 10. And we know that that's going to be about, so let's type that into our calculator. So that should be about 6.3-ish. It didn't give us any units, so it's just going to be units. So really, ultimately, if we're just doing the equation, we really just need to know what r squared is. We don't really need to know what r is. So we ultimately just plug this back into our equation. So then we see that our answer is going to be x minus 2 squared plus x plus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 40. All right, yeah, good. So now, let's just sketch it. So sketching circles is very easy. All you need is the center and the radius. So we said the center was at -2, 3. So let's draw that. So -2, 3. And basically, we just take our radius, we go up the radius. So we said the radius was about 6.3, so we need to go up 6.3, down 6.3, to the right 6.3, and to the left 6.3. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just a little over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just a little over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a little over 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a little over 6. All right, so that's going to be about what our circle looks like. Obviously, I can't draw super great, and if we had a actual, graph paper, it might be a little easier. But all right, so this is our equation, and this is what the circle about looks like, you know, if you had a pretty good looking circle. Let's look at another example. So find an equation of a circle that has endpoints of a diameter of 4, -3, and -2, 7, and then graph it. So this time we're not given the equation. So how are we going to figure this out? Well, maybe we can sketch it first. So if we sketch it, so we know that point A is going to be 4, -3, and we know B is going to be -2, 7. All right, so we know this is the diameter. Remember, diameter goes all the way through the circle. So this is what the circle is going to look like. All right, so how are we going to find the center of this circle? Let's think about this a second. If we have the diameter, how are we going to find the center of the circle? Well, remember, the diameter we know is 2 times the radius. So half of a diameter will be the radius. And where does the radius come from? Where does it start? It starts in the center. So if we could find the halfway point from the diameter, we could find where the center is. And where's that halfway point called? Remember, that would be the midpoint. So we need to find the midpoint of these two values. So who remembers what the midpoint formula is? That was like one of the first days of class, right? So remember, you just take the average of the x's, then the average of the y's. So average is just 4 plus -2 divided by 2, and then the average of the y's. So -3 plus 7 divided by 2. So we see that's just going to be 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. So -3 plus 7 is 4. 4 divided by 2 is 1. 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. Yeah. Good. All right. So now we have our center, right? So this is the center of our circle. So we can already we can put that part in. So remember, it's x plus 8, or x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. So we can plug in our center. So x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals r squared. So now what we got to do is figure out r. So just like last time, we can just pick one of our points. It doesn't matter which one. So we can pick -4, 3, and we can plug that in. Sorry, 4, -3. Stop it. All right. So 4 minus 1 squared plus -3 minus 2 squared equals r squared. So 4 minus 1 is 2. Or sorry, 4 minus 1 is 3. 3 squared is 9. -3 minus 2 is -5. -5 squared is positive 25. Make sure you have that positive 25. And then we said that r squared, of course, would be 34 then. So again, if we aren't going to sketch it, well, we kind of already sketched it, so we don't need to worry about that anymore. So we don't need to worry about the radius. We already have everything, so we can just plug that into our equation, right? So r squared is just 34, so our final equation will be x minus 1 squared plus y minus 2 squared equals 34. All right. And we already, like we said, we already sketched it, so don't need to worry about that part. All right, let's talk about, now we have another equation. How can we find the center and radius? So before we were given points and we had to find the equation. Now we're given the equation. We need to find the center and the radius. So as we noticed, so a couple things. Number one, in our equations, right? What number is in front of our x and y? There's nothing in there, right? So if we had to pick a number, what number would be there? It would be 1. So we need to make sure that we divide everything so that way our x squares and our y squares can be by themselves, right? Can just have nothing next to it. So in this case, we'll divide everything by 3. So we got x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 6y equals 3. All right. So now we got to combine our x's and combine our y's. So we have x squared minus 4x plus y squared, sorry, that should be a squared, plus 6y. All right, so are we done? Well, let's look over here at our equations. What have we had? We had x minus h squared, not x squared. So how can we make this x minus something squared? What are we going to have to do? So remember, we're going to have to do something called completing the square. And remember, what this means is it's going to be what number do we have to add to x squared minus 4x to make this a square? Something minus something or something plus something squared. How can we make it a square? So the thing you need to know about completing the square, it only works if you have x squared plus bx, right? So the number in front of x can only be 1, which is good. That's what we already did, right? So we didn't have to worry about that part. And remember, b can be negative, so this could be minus. That's fine too. So completing the square is going to be b divided by 2 squared. So in this case, for the x's, what's b going to be? We see that's going to be negative 4 divided by 2 squared. So negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. So on the inside of this, we're going to do x squared minus 4x plus 4. But remember, if we add, this 4 can't just come out of nowhere. It has to come from somewhere. So if we're going to add 4 to one side, we have to add 4 to the other side. That's going to be the biggest reason why people get something wrong on the test, I would imagine, assuming you did the homework and you actually know what you're doing. That would be the biggest reason why someone would not necessarily get the right answer. It's because you don't remember to add the 4 to the other side. All right, so we did the x's. Now we need to do the y's too. So for the y's, what's b going to be? So it should be 6. So 6 divided by 2 squared. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. So to the inside of this, we're going to do y squared plus 6y plus 9. And we add it to one side, so we have to add it to the other side. All right. So now, how are we going to do this? So what two numbers multiplied gets you 4, adds gets you negative 4? We see that's going to be negative 2 and negative 2. So that's going to be x minus 2 squared. Funny enough, that's what we get when we did b minus 2. We got that number, right? That will always work, actually. So, same thing with the y's. What two numbers multiply gets you 9, adds gets you 6. It's 3 and 3. So that will be y plus 3 squared, right? And again, that came from this 3 as well, b minus 2. So that's going to equal, so if we have 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 9 is 16. So x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 16. So here's our final equation written in the correct form. And remember, we want to find our center, find our radius, and then sketch it. So our center is going to be at 2 comma negative 3. Remember, it's the opposite signs for circle. The radius is going to be, so it's not going to be 16, because remember, what does 16 equal? That equals r squared. So r is going to be plus or minus 4, but of course the radius can only be positive, so r is going to be positive 4. All right. So, to do a quick sketch, so let's erase this part. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. We got our center, and then remember, how are we going to do the how are we going to graph the rest? We go up, down, left, and right our radius. So we go up our radius 1, 2, 3, 4, down our radius, 1, 2, 3, 4. To the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And to the left, 1, 2, 3, 4. So a little nicer circle than I had last time. Good. All right. Hopefully we're all feeling pretty good with circles. So now let's talk about semicircles. So semicircles, remember, a circle or half circles. So a semicircle will look like that, right? Or like this, something like that. So for this equation, let's find the equation for the upper half and lower half, for the right half and the left half of the circle. And then let's sketch all these graphs. So given this, right? So if we're going to do the upper and lower half, we need to solve for y. So just like with parabolas we talked about in class, if it goes up or down, right? These are going to be, if it goes up and down, these are kind of functions, so we can solve for y. The right and left half, right? These are not going to be functions, so we can't solve. So we're going to solve for x in that case. So if we do the upper and lower, we're just going to solve for y. So we got x squared plus y squared equals 81. So solving for y, we subtract x squared, and then we just take the square root. So y equals the square root of 81 minus x squared. So if you thought we were done, you forgot something. What'd you forget? Yeah, you forgot to do the plus or minus. So this is going to be exactly what you think, right? So the upper circle is going to be y equals positive square root of x minus x squared. The lower one is going to be y equals negative square root of 81 minus x squared. And if you want, you can plug them in, right? You can plug in our values, but we also know, right? Where's our center going to be of all of these circles? Whoops. Our center is going to be at 0, 0, and the radius is going to be 9. So, starting at 0, 0, we can go to the right 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And this is just the upper half. We can go up 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is what our graph looks like. Just this kind of parabola looking thing right there. Good. All right. And then the lower one, right? That's just going to be very similar. For just doing the lower, we go down 9. So we'll just, for time's sake, let's just say that's 9. We got 9. And then negative 9. So that would be what it looks like. If we want the right and left one, right? So if you want the right semicircle and the left semicircle, so this time we're going to need to solve for x. So we got x squared plus y squared equals 81. So let's solve for x. X squared equals 81 minus y squared. So then x equals plus or minus the square root of 81 minus y squared. And of course, just like we said, the right side is going to be when x is positive. So x is positive square root of 81 minus y squared. And it's going to be left when x is negative. Negative square root of 81 minus y squared, right? And another thing, we can think about this. If y is going to be positive or negative, which one? Is it the upper values or the lower values when y is negative? So when y is negative, right? All the y values are negative for the lower. All the y values for the upper are going to be positive, so it's the positive one. Likewise, if all the x's are positive, where are they? They're on the right side. If they're all negative, x's are negative, it's on the left side. Right? So the left side is going to look like this. The right side will look like this. Good. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you can see that. All right. Last question. Yeah, last question, and then we'll be done. And hopefully from this you can at least do all the homework, you can understand where everything is. And if you have any questions, feel free to text me on that Remind app or email me. All right, so last question. So we need to find the upper, lower, right, and left half. So for upper and lower, whoop, that's not what we wanted. All right, so upper and lower, what do we got to do? What do we got to solve for? So remember, upper and lower is going to be our actual functions, right? So that's going to be solving for y. So let's solve for y. So if we have x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 4, we got to solve for y. So y minus 5 squared equals 4 minus x minus 3 squared. Take the square root. So y minus 5 is plus, darn it, stop it. So it's the plus or minus square root of 4 minus x minus 3 squared. Now remember, some of y'all might want to simplify this, right? Oh, well, 4 squared is just 2. The square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x minus 3 squared is just x minus 3. But because we have that stupid minus sign, it makes it one term, and so that's as simplified as it goes. All right. And then just to solve for y, all you do is you just add 5 to both sides, right? So you could add 5 like that, or you could just move it out front. So 5 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus x minus 3 squared. So the upper, oh, that's not annoying. There we go. All right, so the upper, we said, of course, will be the positive. So y equals 5 plus the square root of 4 minus x minus 3 squared. And then the lower will be the minus. Y equal 5 minus the square root of 4 minus x minus 3 squared. So this time, let's check. Where is our center and where is our radius? So the center is going to be at 3, 5, because remember it's the opposite. And then the radius is going to be 2, because it's the square root of 4. So starting at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we said 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 5. And then it's 2. So the upper, it goes over 2, up 2. That's what it looks like. The lower, right? So same thing. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So over 2, down 2. So that's the lower. So all we got to do now is figure out the right and left. So remember when we're doing right and left, just cross that out. All we do is just solve for x. So we had x minus 3 squared plus y minus 5 squared equals 4, I believe. Let's just double check. Yeah, good. All right, so solving for x, we have x minus 3 squared equals 4 minus y minus 5 squared. Take the square root. X minus 3 equals plus or minus the square root of 4 minus y minus 5 squared. So adding 3 to both sides, x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 4 minus y minus 5 squared. Now, it really doesn't matter. You can keep it like this. I like this. It looks a little prettier. But if you wanted to just put plus 3 on the end and then do those write the equations that way, that's fine too. But this looks a little prettier to me, so this is the way I do it. You're not wrong. You'll get full credit if you do it the other way. So, if you have the right side, That's going to be x equals 3 plus the square root of 4 minus y minus 5 squared. And then if you have the left side, that's going to be x equals 3 minus the square root of 4 minus y minus 5 squared. So going back at that, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's the right, we go up 2, down 2, to the left, or nope, to the right 2. If it's the left, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We go up 2, down 2, to the left 2. Good. All right, and that's what it looks like. So hopefully this makes sense. Hopefully you don't have too many questions. If you do, just like I said, feel free to either email me or text me. All right, well, y'all have a great day.